Hello, welcome back. This is the second part of a three-part presentation on the 19 propositions by Carl Rogers. So let's have a look at proposition 3. The organism reacts as an organised whole to this phenomenal field. So we talked about Lucy being at school. Lucy in this case is the organism. The organised whole would be her thoughts and her feelings, all of her, to the phenomenal field. So if we just rewrite that, Lucy reacts with her thoughts and feelings to school. We're going to be talking about school, and to this, in this case, is the phenomenal field. Lucy's interpretation may be, I have to do an English test at school. I am feeling stressed as everyone wants to get good scores. I think I'll be okay if I look at my book. So there's Lucy. Her thoughts and her feelings are combined. A little bit of anxiety about her test at school. And she's reacting to that phenomenal field, and the phenomenal field in this case is the school. Proposition 4. The organism has one basic tendency, and striving to actualise, maintain and enhance the experiencing organism. Lucy has one basic tendency to do the best she can, to be the best person she can, and to experience the most she can do. I want to do well at school because I want to be a teacher like Miss Jamil. She's brainly. So this proposition is showing about her self-actualisation. She wants to do well at school because she wants to be a teacher like Miss Jamil, but she also wants to be brainy. Lucy wants to be everything she can be. Proposition 5. Basic behaviour is basically the goal-directed attempt of the organism to satisfy its needs as experienced in the field as perceived. Well, I guess behaviour doesn't need an explanation. Goal-directed attempt of Lucy to satisfy her needs as she sees them in the area that she's in. In other words, if I do well in my exams, my mum says she'll buy me an Xbox. So she's doing her best to alter her behaviour in school to be goal-directed, and her goal is to buy an Xbox. And also she's talked about being brainy like Miss Jamil. Proposition 6, I'll take a deep breath for this one. Emotion accompanies and in general facilitates such goal-directed behaviour. The kind of emotion being related to the seeking versus the consumerity aspects of the behaviour, and the intensity of the emotion being related to the perceived significance of the behaviour for the maintenance and enhancement of the organism. I'm sure Carl Rogers had to take 2 breaths for that, speaking it out as I did. So emotion accompanies and in general facilitates goal-directed behaviour. What we feel when we're trying to get to our goals, to achieve things, it always accompanies it. If you're running, you'll feel emotion. If you're studying, you'll feel emotion. If you're in business, there'll be an emotion when you're after getting something. This kind of emotion is related to you actually getting what you want, and consumetry is a psychological word. It basically means getting what you want. The intensity of emotion is related to the significance. The bigger the goal, the more emotion there will be involved in it, and it's significant because it maintains and enhances the organism. Let's look at Lucy's view of the world. I passed my exam and feel really good. I got an Xbox. Yay. Lucy's feelings will be stronger as she perceives this exam and the reward to be very important. So she will feel elation at A, passing her exams, and B, gaining a reward for it. So that is how this proposition would impact on Lucy's view of the world. Proposition 7. The best vantage point for understanding behaviour is from the internal frame of reference of the individual himself. Well, that's quite straightforward. If you want to know why people do something, ask them, because they know. To understand why Lucy is so excited about the exam pass, we have to see it from her point of view. Not succeeding in that exam would mean not getting an Xbox and disappointing her mum. Possibly even, in Lucy's world, not becoming a teacher. So there is conditions of worth and introjected values here, isn't there? The mother's bought an Xbox and said, you know, she's passed. We don't know if the mum said she'd get an Xbox for trying hard. Hopefully that might be the case, but sometimes not. So there are conditions of worth on Lucy, and that is to understand where Lucy's coming from, we have to understand what is motivating her and how she sees the world. Proposition 8. A portion of the total perceptual field gradually becomes differentiated as self. Okay, the perceptual field is where you live your life. I'm actually studying my kitchen broadcasting at the moment. If I go to college, I'll be in a college facility. If I go to the swim bath, I'll be in a swim bath. So a portion of where I am becomes part of me, and it's differentiated as self. So in Lucy's case, Lucy sees herself as a pupil in terms of school. If it asked by an adult, what do? She will reply, I am a school kid. So part of herself has become part of the school. Not the bricks and mortar, but the school ethos, the mechanisms of the school and the curriculum. She sees part of herself as part of that. Proposition 9. As a result of interaction with the environment, and particularly as a result of evaluational interaction with others, the structure of self is formed and organised. It's fluid but consistent, conceptual pattern of perceptions of characteristics and relationships of the I or me, together with values attached to the concepts. So let's just have a look at that. As a result of interaction with the environment, if you're in a job and you're enjoying the job, and if people are telling you you're doing a good job, which is the evaluational interaction with others, the structure of self is formed. So if you're in a place that you feel safe and happy and succeeding, that place will help you construct your self-concept. But it's fluid, but it's consistent with who you are. So you hear people say, I do this, I do that, I am. Lucy would look at it as she sees herself as a school kid. Her world will be influenced by her interactions with teachers, the school building and the curriculum. This will be demonstrated by such phrases as, my teacher said, I like math, I am good at English. So she's saying, my teacher said, she's being differentiated, becoming part of the school, taken on as part of her own self-concept. I like maths, again, something that's done at school. I am good at English. So part of Lucy and the school have become one, if that makes sense. Her view of the world, her perceptual field, the phenomenal field is the school in this case, and she's taken part of it on as her own. Proposition 10. The values attached to experiences and the values which are part of the self-structure in some instances are values experienced directly by the organism, and in some instances are values introjected or taken for others, but perceived in a distorted fashion as if they had been experienced directly. Okay, your self-concept may be experienced directly by you. Yeah, you might be able to do something, I don't know, should we say a crossword? You might be able to do a crossword and you could do it in 5 minutes, a Times crossword in 5 minutes, and you do it and you think, yeah, that's pretty smart, that's pretty clever. But it might be that other people say, well, actually 5 minutes is all right, but actually a genius would do it in about 30 seconds. So instances are values introjected or taken from others, but perceived in distorted fashions as if they had been experienced directly. So if you've done the Times crossword in 5 minutes and you think you're pretty smart, and then someone says 30 seconds for a genius, it might be that actually you take on those values. I'm not that clever, I'm not that bright. And it also might be you really convince yourself. Lucy's interpretation is a little bit more straightforward. I left my old school because one of the teachers, Mr. Higgins, would call me thick and dim if I got my maths homework wrong. I felt useless and silly and was sick before school, so mum and dad moved me to a new school. If Lucy's mum and dad had not acted, she may have taken on the self-concept of being dim and thick, even if it wasn't true. And we know that happens, don't we, children? If you tell a child they're dim and thick and stupid, they're likely to believe it themselves. Proposition 11. As experiences occur in the life of the individual, they're either symbolised, perceived and organised into some relationship with self, i.e. we believe it and we take on those ideas, ignored because there's no perceived relationship to the self-structure. Doesn't sound like me, nothing to do with me, I'm not even going to bother with that comment, might be it. Or denied symbolisation or given distorted symbolisation because the experience is inconsistent with the structure of self. So let's just have a look at how Lucy might experience this proposition. Lucy has fallen out with Tom at school because he called her fat and stupid. Lucy has choices according to this proposition. So the first one is she can take it on. She can believe what Tom has said, go on a diet and lose confidence. Okay? So that's the first option in this. She can ignore what he says because it doesn't fit with her self-view. So she might look in the mirror and say, well, actually, you know, I don't feel fat. Not that fat's a crime, I have to say, but she might look in the mirror and say, well, actually, I look okay. I'm all right with that. I better dismiss what he says. I'll get on with something else. But she might symbolise it in a different way, and it might be in a distorted fashion. So she might believe that all boys are nasty and should be avoided. And if that's the case, it might be that impacts on her life through into adulthood when she starts forming relationships with boys. And it might be that interjection that's come from Tom of calling her names may very well have an impact on how Lucy in the future interacts with boys. So that's the distorted idea. She's taken on what he said. She doesn't believe that she's fat and stupid, but what she does believe, the distortion, is that all boys are nasty. That's the end of this part of the presentation, but it continues in part 3, and I'll see you there.